kit review is of Hardee's Lumina stock car from NASCAR, and this is from the Days of Thunder movie. It's an older model kit, a 1/24 scale model by Monogram. And here you can see some details here of the car. Looks like it's going to be a fairly detailed model. And some dimensions there. And let's have a look inside. I think most of these models for the NASCAR are really the same. It's the same mold. The difference though is that the decals are slightly different, but otherwise pretty much it's the same car. So here are the decals, and those are fairly nicely printed in really good shape for being this old. Here are the chrome parts. We've got some wheels, not too bad. And we've got some engine parts here. Looks like our air intake. And some grills, more engine parts, radiator. So, not too bad there. We've got the tire slicks. These are really hard vinyl. And you're going to have to paint these the sides to get the text to show up. Here's our glass. Nicely molded. And let's have a look over here. Okay, so here is the body, nicely molded, good level of detail. And here's our chassis with the rear wheel well put in. Looks like parts of our roll bar here. Here's our drive shaft over there. Here's the roll cage. It's nicely molded. Good level of detail there. We've got some pipes and tubes, probably for our exhaust and air. Here's our bumper. Chevy Lumina, more bumpers, more parts for the roll cage, and some air hoses. Here we go, we've got our engine block and transmission, and looks like our oil pan here, distributor cap, suspension parts, more suspension parts in the subframe. Looks like our rear axle here. We've got some belts, steering wheel, fan, and our suspension. It's probably the rear part of our axle here. Sorry, our transmission. Drive shaft comes out there. Here's our pedal box, and more parts for the shocks. Here's our seat, and we've got our hood. Got the engine firewall and wheels. So let's have a look. Look, it's fairly detailed. There are the colors needed. We've got some solid engine parts there, and we work on the engine. Quite a lot of detail here on the engine, including the exhausts. We start to build the suspension parts. Firewall, then we put in our roll cage and roll bars, and steering rack goes in, and shaft. Start to build the cockpit there. There's a lot of detail on this model. Got some air hoses there. Next we've got our fuel cell and additional parts for the frame. And we mount the engine and build up the dashboard and mount that. Next we've got our windshield supports and part of the frame, and we build the rear axle and suspension parts. Those will get mounted, and then hook up our belts to the engine, exhausts, there's a radiator, and that's then mounted. We've got some remaining hoses going on, and then the remaining parts of the subframe are put on. Next our wheels are mounted, and we start off with the body, bumpers and grills going on, and here our glass goes in, and it's finally mounted to the chassis. And here you can see there's the decal and paint guide. It's a lot of detail, fairly well molded, especially for an older model kit. That's going to be a great build.